What is up, guys? Megasonic here with another Boruto episode. Let's see, 15, I think. Yeah, episode 15 review. So this episode was pretty darn chill. It wasn't big, so yeah, keep doing what you're doing, Boruto. I like the new change of pace. But I will be talking about the next arc that's happening, which is actually a really interesting arc, and I think a lot of you guys should check that out too. But let's get into this episode review. So this episode starts out kind of just chill. It starts out with Boruto in his room, kind of recounting the events that just happened, and it's been several weeks. He says it's been like a good while since the events of episode 14, and he talks about how his eye and everything's not working, and he's worrying about the class rep, whether or not she will be allowed to go back to school or be allowed back into the Leaf Village after that situation has happened. He jumps to another scene. Now, one thing I wanted to get to straight is that a lot of people think I was just hating on Boruto or saying Boruto is a shitty character. I just think when it comes down to the writing, they could have done that whole scenario with him trying to save the class rep much more detailed than just saying she's my classmate. Like that just seems very weak and lazy, and I feel like they was rushing to just get this arc finished so they can get to the better stuff, such as the Sadara arc, which I'll explain later what that's about, and many other arcs. But just like for those who are wondering why I bitched about that, is because it just seems like lazy writing. Alright, so then the scene jumps to Naruto, Shikamaru and Sai all chilling by like the place where the one attacks happen, and Senjutsu, how Senjutsu chakra works, the Hiroshima cells, blah 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 blah. A tree grew in there, kids playing in there, people like it's like a national park now. So Naruto, everyone was like, yeah, it cleared up nicely. And Sai tells him that, yeah, she told me everything about what happened and how Boruto saved her. And Naruto's actually quite surprised and actually quite interested that his own son was involved in this and actually saved the village. But getting more into it, Shikamaru and asks is it okay to bring her back into the village after what she just did? And Naruto kind of brings up a good point. He says you don't choose your parents, because her whole backstory, she did have a shitty ass father who. Okay, I'm gonna have a video in the future explaining why the Root and Donzo are a bunch of piece of shits. Cause the way they do things, I swear, is not for the betterment of the village, but for the betterment of themselves. But anyway, Naruto explains that you can't really choose your mom and dad. You just gotta go with it and how you strive from it. Because you remember Gaara's parents, his mom died and his dad actually tried to kill him on numerous occasions because of because of the hatred of the Jinchuriki. And getting into that, you can't really choose your parents. You just gotta live with it. Look at the kids from Shameless. They didn't choose Frank. They just have to live with it. But after that, it goes to the class, and everyone's having this little exercise where they talk about 3-man teams, because we're getting close to the graduation, so everyone's eventually going to become a ninja. I'm not saying everyone, because we don't see a lot of these characters in the Boruto movie, so they might just either shove these characters somewhere else and make them less important, or push these characters into the background, or have them fail or do whatever, Iwabe and Denki, those two. Anyway, so getting to the story. So they're having a 3-man team, capture the flag type situation they're doing. And, their team's pairing up. So, Naruto, not Naruto, but, Boruto and Mizuki, they team up because, they're the two badasses of the school. And, they can, so they're like, yo, let's see if we can Shikamaru. Shikamaru's like, nah, I'm with Ino Shikocho, which is, probably the most compatible team in the Naruto history. Their villains are really kind of chill by themselves, but together they can actually create some really devastating techniques. So keep that in mind. Plus, it's a family thing. If your mom or your dad was part of Inishikacho, eventually you will have to hang out and be around the Inishikacho other kids. It just comes together like that. Anyway, so Boruto and Denki suggests Metal Lee, and Metal Lee is pretty much similar to Rock Lee with the taijutsu skills and everything, but also he is very, very nervous. He has anxiety, so he can easily be that used against them. So anyway, they're like, yeah, he's pretty strong. And later on that day, Naruto's home with chilling with his family, which is very rare for like very rare. Like Naruto's always in his office, but Naruto's at home chilling with his family, and is most likely to not only just to relax, but also to talk to Boruto about what happened with the class red. So Boruto walks up to like Naruto, and surprisingly Naruto home. They're talking about it, and Naruto tells him like, "Yo, look, I got this, bro," and he's like, "No, fuck you, dad." Like, so Boruto's character, he kind of cares about the class rep. Like everyone's worrying about throughout this episode, worrying about whether or not should she be brought back into the school, and the answer is maybe. I don't know, but if we know how Naruto is written, it just has to end on a good note. So they're gonna put her back into the school with no questions asked. It might be hard for her because people might be pissed at her about what happened, but like at the end of the day, you can't really choose your parents, and it's your destiny. You gotta like go with it. So they talk about it, and Boruto was like, "Well, can you just like part her crimes?" Which he can. He can just part her crimes, like Kakashi did for Sasuke. Like Sasuke was a world criminal until the end of the series, and Kakashi just wiped his record. Was like, "Yeah, he's good. He helped us. Okay, everything he did, like committing like assassinations, killing Donzo and everything. Yeah. That's actually not a bad thing. But like Naruto kind of says, look, um, yeah, I may be Okage, but I can't just willingly throw my power around. I have to care about the well-being of the village because you may trust her, and hopefully I trust her too. But then again, you got other root members out there who probably want to get to her and use her. So it jumps to a scene where like Aruka, who is now principal, if you guys know Aruka Sensei, is principal of the school, might as well because he's a teacher there for like how many years, he might as well became principal. And he's talking to Shino, and him and Shino chatting, and there, and Shino's asking him like, can he bring her? Can she be allowed back in the school? And Haruka's kind of worried about that because she has like a bad record with this whole like shit that just happened several weeks ago. And it's just like, should we bring her back? Like, I don't think so. It's kind of like it's rough. Like, she's not a bad kid, but it's like that shit she just pulled. It ain't good. It ain't good. Uh, Getting into that more, Shino offers to watch her over her under his wing, whatever, blah blah, under his bat or his bug wings, whatever he wants to call it. But anyway, Shino and Uruka chat about it, and Uruka asks like, okay, what does the girl want? Does she want to come back? Because she may not want to come back. And he chats with her, and she, usually she feels guilty of everything she has done. She's not happy, and Uruka, not Uruka. I'm getting names mixed up. I'm tired. I just woke up. But anyway, let's get into this. Shino and her talking, and Shino's like, yo, I can help you, and she's like, I almost killed you, dude. Like I almost absorbed all your chakra, and he was like, well, I learned from that to become a great teacher, which is normal Shino thing. Like Shino's a great teacher too. Like I like how Boruto series gives Shino more screen time than anyone else because he was really ignored for the majority of the whole series. Like his abilities is really interesting. You have bugs that can crawl anywhere, can swarm anywhere, and absorb anyone's chakra. He will be, I okay. He would be a very dangerous opponent for someone like Naruto, who literally coats his body in chakra. Just think about that. I'm not saying it's gonna be a one shot, but it's like he has the ability to to get the upper hand in a fight. Anyway, so the next day starts, and everyone's they're preparing themselves for their team battle, and the teams are not clicking. Like Shino's like, oh god, I'm gonna get a heart attack because these niggas don't know what the fuck they doing. Like everyone's just jumping around and like just not working together. And the only team that's really working together is like Boruto and Mizuki and Ina Shikacho. Like, and also this one scene where like Iwabe, Sadara, and Denki, they're fighting, and they're like Iwabe, he's fighting some dude, and Sadara and Denki are going for the flag, and then like this weird teddy bear girl summons like her teddy bear to kick the shit out of both of them, and I'm just like, whoa, what the hell? I'm just gonna assume that's either some kind of like puppet jutsu, or it could be some kind of like possession jutsu. Like she has the ability to possess her animate objects and use them. That's interesting, and I'd like to see her more into the story because you can't just bring someone's power up like that and just be like, all right, she's gonna be back in the background. Like, nah, bring her back, because that was some interesting shit. Like you got kicked by a teddy bear, dude. You ain't hood no more. Sorry, Denki, you ain't hood no more. You were never hood, but you ain't gonna be hood now. But uh, getting into like the whole arc, Shino hears about Sue and he obviously goes to pick her up and to bring her into the school, and she's obviously shy. I love the fight scene between Ino Shikacho versus Metal Mizuki, and Boruto. So Metal he gets his like he he's really good at taijutsu, so he can really handle himself. But like Shikadai being very smart, being Shikamaru's son, he can able to like just utilize his anxiety to his advantage. He's like, hey, yo, Metal Lee, yo, everyone's staring at you, nigga. And he goes, oh shit. He starts getting all white and like pale, and Chocho sees that as an example and just cracks him, boom, knocks him out. So then the fight continues on with Boruto versus Ino Shin. I gotta look up his name. Is it Ino Jin or Ino Shin? Anyway, Ino Jin or Ino Shin. They're fighting, and Boruto's like, "Yo, I'm kind of stuck," and Shikadai has Mizuki kind of trapped, and Mizuki's like, "Well, should I do the trick, Boruto?" He's like, "Yeah, do anything, dude. Get out that." So he spits a knife out of his mouth. Like this kid is weird. Like he's the list as probably is the strongest of that generation because he has Sage Mode already like learned, not mastered, but learned. But like his abilities are really creative, and Boruto's a very capable ninja. And it's funny how they never ask for Sadaru. I think that'll be a nice surprise in like later episodes where they're like picking teams and they're just like, all right, Mizuki and Boruto. They're like, yeah, Sadaru. Boruto probably like, what the fuck, like not her, like of all people, give me anyone but her. So getting into it, so Shino brings in, the Clash Rep, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!" Because everyone hears about like, "Oh, she was part of that," and at first, she was worried about everyone kind of like giving her the evil eye and kind of look down on her, like you're a monster. You try to kill us. You put us through so much. Everyone opens up with big arms and stuff, which is kind of like interesting because if we know anything about the Leaf Village, if you do something bad, they'll hate you for the rest of your life. Like look at Naruto, like he was like 6 years old, and they hated that nigga like before he was even like a child. Like before he was even to say his ABCs, they said "fuck you, kid." So like you can see like the village can be really rough, and I think that was one of the reasons why Naruto was holding off on like actually making her come back because he was probably worried about that factor. Uh, the episode doesn't end right there. The episode gets into the juicy parts. Now let me get to the juicy parts. Let me lick my lips first. So there's a scene with Sasuke and Naruto. So Sasuke finally shows his face in the series, and for those who don't know what Sasuke is doing, he's been investigating Kaguya's like dimensions and stuff to get more information about what Kaguya was doing because he suspects that Kaguya was building an army for some kind of attack that will eventually happen. So Kaguya Naruto brings the scroll with Nue and everything, and the whole like Senjutsu, and Sasuke looks at it like, okay, like we surprised Danzo got this close to something like Kaguya's scrolls, which is really interesting. Danzo is a very devious man, and I'm glad he's dead. But even in death, he's still an issue. Like his followers are still pieces of shit. Like I'm sorry, like Orochimaru is not even much danger as this dude. Like Orochimaru's still alive, still kicking it, still doing his weird snake thing, and no one's like checking him really except Yamato. And he's really not. He doesn't do anything anymore. He doesn't care. He's just focusing on Mizuki at this point. So, like, but Danzo's a fucking piece of shit, like to the fullest. So they chat, and like Naruto and Sasuke, they kind of like bicker a little bit, but he tells them like, yo, come back to the village, chill, like let your feel go hang out with your family, like you haven't seen your daughter in a while. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go. And he's like, tell Sakura I'm sorry. And Naruto's like, damn, I should tell her I'm sorry because I got you on this mission. So then we get to like Toneri on the moon, and he's like, wow, Boruto actually sealed away Nue, good job. Now what about Jungan or Jogan? And he's like, Jugan or Jogan, whatever. I don't know how they're gonna pronounce it in English dub, but I think knowing how English dub is, they're probably gonna say Jogan or Jugan or Jo, because Jou makes a Hyo sound in Japanese. I'm not sure, but I think that's how I've heard some people like Jungo, like Jungo, like Jugo, Jugo, Jungo or Jung. Anyway, so we don't know what that is. This is the first time anyone has ever heard of this. This is the first time we're like, what is this thing? Is this gonna be another thing like New A? Is it gonna be that comet that has been talked about? Cause okay, I feel like Boruto is going to dive into like some kind of like space time travel or something because my personal belief is that the main villains for this entire series will be the Otsutsuki clan, and we already see like one of them, how strong one of them is. Like just one, guys. Like you remember Kaguya was unbelievably strong, but she was eating trees. Momoshiki and King Shiki were freaking strong too. But like getting into it, like even Teneri is pretty damn strong, even without eyes. So getting into that, Teneri's like, okay. So then Teneri like sees a crack in time and space. He doesn't see because he has no eyes no more, but he crushes it. And he's just like, okay, the gods are on their way. Like, hope they're ready. And the gods, he's talking about the Otsutsuki clan members, Momoshiki and King Shiki. So for those who are wondering whether or not they're gonna cover the movie Boruto the movie, it looks like they're gonna cover it, and similar to Dragon Ball Super, how it started out with just covering Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, they will cover the movie, and I'm kind of like about that. I don't know, but too sure about that. But anyway, getting into it, I do think they might cause some fans to probably like not watch the show a little bit because it's like I already seen this in the Boruto movie. But I feel like the one thing about the Boruto movie that failed a lot was the fact that the story and the characters were not well detailed enough. So getting into that, kind of iffy about that. So the episode ends like that, and I would say this episode is actually solid. It's probably a good 4.5. It didn't really do too much, but it kind of was a closing arc to like this whole series. But like character motivations, everything made sense. Like why, like everyone was worrying whether or not to bring this girl in, and the girl was even worrying about whether or not to bring her back into the city or bring her back into like society. And it's kind of interesting concept because like this generation was willing to take her in because she's still at the end of the day their friend. Sue is still at the end of the day their friend. And please say her name more. Stop calling her the class rep because even if she like is in Boruto after they leave the academy, are you still gonna call her class rep? That's the question like to ask. But like, use her real name, please, in later arcs. My whole thoughts on this episode. I would think that this is a chill episode. It's not too big. It was really no problems. The animation was pretty good. A little action scene here and there. The story was it was a nice will they won't they, and the ending led to more and more arcs. And so they're like, okay, let's talk about the outro song. The outro song, which is new, which last week I didn't talk about it because it really didn't show anything. It was just showing like slides of what happened in that episode, and I kind of just shrugged it off like, I don't really care about that. But then they do the actual ending, which is the Sakura version, which is will be the next arc, which I'm not gonna explain. So in the ending, it shows Sakura dealing with the situation of her parents. So one thing about we learned that Boruto, even though Naruto is not home usually, Naruto's still in his life. Sasuke has never been in Satoru's life for that long. He's hasn't even been back home since like Satoru is probably at most 2 years old. So he's been gone for years and years and years. So it's like Sakura's practically a single mother taking care of her daughter while her husband's out looking up some old evil lady's dirty laundry. Anyway, but this whole story covers about like will like whether or not what's Sada's origin because Sada doesn't have no records in the Leaf Village. She doesn't have any like birth records or anything. So what is she? And I remember reading this in like high school, and everyone in school was like, "Yo!" Like it was like a freaking Murray Povich show episode. Like the whole thing was Murray Povich, and getting into it, it's a good arc with a cheat, but it does a lot of things wrong. And I hope the Boruto anime will kind of fix these issues, such as the whole like nerfing Naruto and Sasuke to make him a bit weaker. The whole story, like, cause the story it didn't felt like it felt like it was just it like the ending felt pointless. But it's still such an interesting arc for Sada's character and seeing her character growth. But uh, looking back at it, it wasn't the best Naruto story. It was very flimsy. I will have a video later on in the future about why people hate Donzo, and that is a list of things why not like fans hate Donzo, but characters in the series hate Donzo because Donzo is a piece of shit, and he is the indirect one of the indirect causes for many of the events, such as the Akatsuki's, Kabuto, Orochimaru. Like, he is sort of the indirect cause of many of these things because he's such a dick. But I rambled on enough. Boruto episode 15, loved it. Nice and short, easy, comfortable. I would give it a 4 out of 5. Not too rough, but getting into the story a little bit more. I would like to see more in-depth character development for the supporting cast, because if you're going to have these characters in this story, I would like to know their names at least, because I barely know the class rep's name. I think it's Sue or Sui, whatever you want to say it. They say her name a couple times, but I don't know. I'm glad we're out of this arc. We're going to like a much more interesting arc, as well as we're hinting to bigger and better things of the series. So yes, I love that. I probably have a review for the Boruto manga whenever that comes out. But anyway, I rambled on long enough. I see you guys later. Megasonic out. Remember to like and subscribe and share this video with any of your friends. And I'm got to go back to bed.